great having you back in the studio. Lovely to be here with you. We had a wonderful holiday and I hope you did too. And we're so excited to get back into the swing of things and recording our vlogs for you. Thanks so much for all of your subscriptions over the holidays. We had a ton of subscriptions and we really appreciate that, and some wonderful messages too. And today I'm going to be sharing with you my 2016-2017 art journal. I'm going to show you the before and the after because I'm getting ready to start my new one. But before we get into that, I wanted to just let you know that I've decided not to teach classes. And if you want to follow my blog, if you check in there, I write weekly, sometimes twice a week. Certainly if I do a video, I put that on there as well. And so if you follow my blog, you'll find out more about what's going on with me personally and in the studio if you're interested in that. And so I'm not going to be teaching, and I wrote about it on my blog and gave the reasons why. So, but I am going to be teaching you the tissue paper technique, and we're going to do that next time that we vlog. And I've got a bunch of other wonderful things planned too. I'm going to be giving you a dirty studio tour. Last time you saw the studio in the tour that we did, it was all nice and neat and clean and looked really great. But that's not the way it normally is. So we're going to do that. I'm also going to we're going to be traveling to Europe again next year. So we're going to probably film that trip. And I'm going to create a new journal for myself out of an antique photo album. So you probably want to watch that. And then the last thing that I think, well, not the last thing, but one of the other things that we're going to be doing is talking about some journal prompts for those of you who don't journal once a month like I do. So I'm going to get started in showing you this, and we'll be right back. So this is what my journal looks like. I love the way it came out, and this is the before, and it is a Strathmore mixed media journal, which I absolutely love. If you've been following me for any length of time, you know that that I've normally used antique record books, record books, I think, to record journal ledgers and things like that. But I started using this in 2016 and decided that I would do something that was new with mixed media paper that would make it just so much easier, because it really, honestly, most of my journals are falling apart. So this makes it just so much simpler, and I thought, I really am going to want to see what I did a few years from now too. So anyway, so I love it. So this is what it looks like. I treated the outside cover with plaster wrap, and then I painted it, I sanded it back, and this is an old book piece that I tied into the book and ran the ribbon through. So I love the way it came out. And then on the inside, I just put some paper on the inside to cover where I had tied through to the front to hold this on. And I used upholstery thread to do that, because I know somebody's going to ask me, what did you use to tie it on there with? So anyway, so this was the first half of this book is 2016. And the way I work this book is that I started from the front and worked to the middle, and each spread is a whole month. And then once I got into the middle, then I took out my pages and I left that so you could see how many pages I had to rip out. What I actually did was, once I got to this point, I went to the back and I started to work to the front, because I wasn't sure how many pages I needed to rip out, but I knew that I needed 12 more months. So I just counted back and I wrote the name of the month for each double page spread, and then I ripped out the pages that I needed. And so now I can go back and either glue these together to make it a whole complete book, or I can do something else on these pages, and I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet. So starting with 2017, my January pages always are and by the way, if you want to find out all the ingredients and the techniques that I used for all the pages, those kinds of things, I'll go into more detail on my blog, so you can follow my blog. And so January is always about me. I always do a self-portrait, and that kind of sets the tone for the year. And if you haven't seen my other videos, then what I would say is on my journaling process is about personal inquiry. It's a spiritual practice that I use to dig deeper and to say, okay, what else do I want to work on? What do I want to deal with? What do I want to move through? Where am I going? What do I want? And so in this last year, January, I wrote, allow the not knowing to wash over you. Understanding is uncertainty is uncomfortable, but it is so necessary, and it facilitates growth. So what I did was I used a photocopy and then repainted it. Actually, this is a transfer on paper. February pages are always about writing a love letter to myself. And so what I do is I concentrate on all those things about me that I really like and appreciate about myself. And once I get them all on the page, and underneath here is all of my writing, that I papered over it, and I called this one a red letter day. And this is the writing, I'm writing the letter to myself. And anytime you see a woman's image in here, it's a representation of me. So learning to love and approve of myself is what February is always about. I'll be doing it again. I do it every February. It's just one of those traditions and rituals that I find really assist me in my growth. In March, I was thinking about speaking with my authentic voice, and thinking about that in the studio and where I want that to take me. And I wrote over here to give myself permission to speak my own language. And again, so this would represent me holding on to a piece of artwork, and the writing underneath is about being fearless in creating whatever I want and going into whatever kind of artistic medium that I want to play with. April brought about some issues with my feet, and feet are always about walking into the future easily and effortlessly. And so normally I don't use magazine images. These actually came from, I think, an anthropology magazine or something like that. I photocopied them in black and white, and then wrote, part of my journal writing on the clothes. And I wanted the feet images to use those and to show me walking into the future, working on those issues on my feet, and then documenting about what the underlying issues were going on inside, my own life. May went by in a bit of a rush. I did a lot of journal writing underneath, and the butterfly signifies the finishing my collection, The Naturalist Notebook, and that video is on my channel as well, about all the pieces that I was doing for the show in May, and working to get all of the Naturalist Notebook finished. And so the pages, they're a little bit peaceful because I felt it coming together, but it's also a little incoherent, I think. June was spent sailing the beautiful Caribbean seas with our family and having a wonderful time with our family and our grandkids, and it was very peaceful and beautiful and mellow, and this is how it turned out. In July, I was facing some issues with my family. I have several members of my family who have heart disease or some kind of heart issue or ailment. And so I turned to cloth and stitching, which is one of my favorite things to do. And I started to patch this heart together and thought that would be perfect for my journal pages. So that's what July is about, is writing from the heart. in August we traveled to California, to San Diego, and stayed near the beach, and we had a lovely visit. It was quiet and peaceful. There was a lot of water running through it, and it was just a beautiful trip. I think creating pages that are peaceful are harder because I want to keep putting things into it, and really what I want to do is just let go and allow just the flow of what's happening to be. Then we got home, and in September we had a hurricane. You might remember Irma, and this is a mixed media page with mixed media paper that I ripped into pieces and wrote about the feeling of concern for not only for our home and our life, but also for Florida and for the people that live here. In October, I was thinking a lot about the time. In October is the time when we start to move into winter, and it was traditionally known as a time of death, that we're closer to the veil and closer to the ending of things, the ending of the year coming. And so I loved using the texture on here. This is cheesecloth that I used, and the leaves are handmade that I cut out of paper and then glued on here. And the changes coming in October is what it celebrates. Okay, November, I decided to hand draw my hands. So this is my hand here, and this is my hand here. And I wanted to show a sense of gratefulness, being absolutely full, and the bounty not only of life but of our family. We journeyed back to have Thanksgiving with our family, with our daughters and our grandkids. And it was just such a beautiful, peaceful time, and we had such a loving, wonderful visit that I wanted to express that feeling on the page. It always feels so good to pour your love out on the page, I think. In December I was listening to music. I just wrote about this on my blog. I was listening to music, and I typically in December, it's a bricolage month. I just use everything that's on my desk and just kind of throw it onto the page and see what happens. I was listening to Philip Glass's beautiful glassworks as I was doing it, and it just came to me to just allow the music to just kind of flow through onto the page. I actually had some wrapping paper with music on it on my desk, and the pieces just came into place. And what's wonderfully synchronistic about it is that when I finished, I realized that this woman that I had chosen to use was actually looking at music paper. And I thought, wow, that's just so great how the synchronicity plays out when you're really inquiring and working on the stuff within. So that's my journal. Well, we're at Ciao for now, and next time I'll be sharing my tissue paper technique. You can make butterflies and dragonflies and whatever you want, something visually to see through and to put on your pages. So I'll be looking forward to seeing you next time, and ciao for now.